Hello everyone, Saul here, and welcome back to another episode of The Gauntlet, where I art challenge myself. I will throw down the gauntlet at myself. Hopefully I don't get hurt. I don't know my own strength sometimes. And I will take up the gauntlet and I will rise to that challenge, hopefully. Anyways, I wanted to do a portrait because that's one of the things I didn't get to do last year, and this year I wanted to do more portraits, just like I want to do more reference drawing. Enjoy graphite, rediscover pencil. It's pretty much the first instrument that I used after crayon. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell, so that whenever I make any of these videos, whether it's telling you a ghost story, whether it's teaching some art, or whether it's challenging myself in these videos, you will be the first to know. So make sure you hit that notification bell. And yeah, now getting back to the subject at hand, it was recently David Bowie's birthday, and I just thought, hey, you know what? Last year I wanted to do this, didn't get to do it, so this year I really wanted to pay a visit, or have him come visit me. So that's what I set out to do. But this isn't exactly a how-to video. I'm just giving you my experience as I made these challenges for myself. That's more what this series is about, a little more freeform. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoy it. Maybe you learned something in an osmosis way, I don't know. But thanks for watching, and let's get into it. David Bowie. Let's draw David Bowie. Aging is an extraordinary process in which you become the person you were always meant to be. And that is a quote by David Bowie. Appropriate, I think, since this was inspired by his birthday, speaking of aging. And speaking of processes, I think you're going to see some aging of his up and down throughout this. As you can see, there's a basic egg shape of his face that I've made there in the first sketch. And then I divided the distance of the egg in two to get his eyes. I divided that distance further to get his nose, and then again for his mouth. And as you can see, I'm going right into the details a bit much for my comfort. I think that on the next portrait, whoever it is, there's going to be a lot more planning in the beginning, but it's a theory. We'll see where it goes. One of the things that I think attracted me to drawing David Bowie is probably his most obvious trait, which is his androgynous look. And from the point of view of an artist, I think there's certain lines you can do that are feminine and certain that are masculine, and you kind of have to walk a fine line with David Bowie in a way. I mean, if you do it too much one way, he's coming off too masculine, or you can make him too feminine. And so this presented a challenge within a challenge. And I think that it can be very exciting for an artist to dive into the details. And this became a series of taboos that I was challenging in what I understand reference drawing or portrait drawing to be. And for instance, you see that hair is very detailed, or it can be. This could still pass as suggestive, but for the early stage of this sketch, I think this is getting very detailed with the hair. And I thought, hey, normally I would not be this attentive to all the strands of hair, but why not see why I don't do that? And before I knew it, it was seducing me to just get more and more like, oh my God, maybe you can capture it. And I think that there is a time to do it. I don't think this portrait needed that. And then, of course, I'm going back to the eyes. I think that's always important. There's a point where I'll get really detailed with the shirt, which I did not need to do. That was another taboo where I wanted to just revisit and go, but why? Why not do the shirt? And you can see I'm trying to gauge the placement of the mouth, which you really want to be careful with that with Bowie. And this arguably gave me the most trouble. I can say other places were tricky as well, but I think that they always were showing, that I just needed to capture Bowie's mouth. I mean, there's a lot of sensitivity in the way he talks, and he's a sensitive artist, and I think that in many ways I'm learning a different type of sensitivity with my pencils by experiencing what it takes to conjure him, to conjure his ghost. And I would just like to share a little bit of my experience of Bowie in my life in terms of, just because I think that it's always interesting for me to hear how other people experience Bowie. I mean, so many people experience him as Jareth, the Goblin King, or Ziggy Stardust. And for me, I think it was when I, just on a whim, I bought his album titled Low, which is, of course, the beginning of his so-called Berlin trilogy. This is when he left Ziggy Stardust and glam rock, and he went to Berlin to start over again. And he made a trilogy of albums which were his grand metaphor of East and West Germany. So you had East Germany, which was governed by Russia. So it was communist and definitely represented that darkness and kind of imprisoned side of Germany for the people of Germany. And then there was West Germany, which was governed by the UN and much more free. People could come and go, and there was democracy. And he recorded Low in Hansa Studios, and there you can see that mouth is really, it's not quite there. I like to think that actually Bowie was coming in and saying, "That's not my mouth." And the nose is starting to clue me in as well. And I was really just trying to figure out the shape of him, even though I had dispensed with the egg shape. As I invite you to watch, you'll see that I'm kind of, as I really get into the details, this is what happens when you get into the details. And it was wonderful to test these taboos. Because as you sweat the small stuff, you kind of lose sight of the big picture. And he's still saying, "Nope, that's not my mouth, Saul. That's not my mouth." But anyways, going back to Low, he recorded it, and it was unlike anything he had done before. The first half is more his traditional songwriting, but it's very experimental. He's teaming with Roxy Music's Brian Eno. The second side of the album is pretty much all instrumentals. And it's such a beautiful, adventurous album. And there's that nose, like that's where I just felt like, okay, I feel like I've got his nose there, and now I'm going to work on everything else. It just kind of was giving me confidence. But as you can see, that hair is very detailed, and it's so tempting to just keep doing it and to have people go, "Wow, look at how you got that hair. And look at that shirt. You've even got patterns of his shirt." Part of why I was interested in his shirt is because he has a Bowie-esque quality of transforming everything he touches, and that includes music, fashion, movies. So when Bowie is wearing a shirt, if there's a pattern on it, it feels like it's just saying something about Bowie. And as you can see, I know there's something that isn't quite on with the jaw. And one of the things that I just want to point out is that this is laying flat on a table. It's not propped up. It's not at a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle. And because of that, he's kind of facing away from me. This is why there's a slightly distorted angle of the left jaw to the right jaw. But he's starting to arrive. And I'm feeling very honored when that happens. And now I'm starting to suggest the hair. I'm saying, okay, let's go back to the jaw. There's the egg shape of the jaw. And look at that, suggesting the shirt. There's some structure there. And this is David Bowie. There he is. And I think I have, like many artists, listened to a lot of music while I draw or paint, what have you. And like many artists, I have favorite albums that I go back to, soundtracks. But I have to say, I think the album that I have listened to by a recording artist more than any other album is Low by David Bowie. So this was especially poignant. And thank you so much, David, for everything. There we are. And that's how it happened. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has kind of been a nice free-form way to share my sketching and my process. I do a lot of different mediums, so sometimes I feel like I need to go back and forth between different ones, and they inform each other. Sometimes one is lacking, sometimes one is singing, sometimes I want to take advantage of the excitement I'm feeling in one. And I think this year I really want to take advantage of what's happening in my graphite and my sketches. It's just been so great to get my graphite game on, and I hope that you've enjoyed seeing it too. All right, well, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Hey, I'd love to know your favorite David Bowie song or a David Bowie album even. Anyways, take care. I'll see you on the next one. So, David Bowie.